Everyone tells you to escape the 9 to 5 to build wealth, but I didn't. I'm a chartered accountant, I'm still employed full time, and I have a 6-figure net worth. And here's the boring step-by-step process that will help you get there too. A study in 2025 found that the median net worth of someone in their 20s was around $7,000 only. I didn't want to be part of that stat, so I did this instead, and it got me a 6-figure net worth by working a 9 to 5. Stay tuned, and I'll give you a step-by-step guide of how you can do the same. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Alice. I'm on a mission to achieve financial freedom and early retirement, so follow along for the journey. I'm a chartered accountant and I want to help you with all things money and investing. So hit that subscribe button if you want that kind of content and if you want to follow along for my journey to become financially free. First of all, why do your 20s matter for your money? Your 20s are arguably the most important decade for 3 reasons. First of all, compound interest. I have a video about that here. In your 20s, you can contribute just a small amount per month to your investment portfolio. And because you have the power of time, you will retire with millions just by contributing less. For example, if you want to be a millionaire by 60, if you start investing at 20 years old, you only need 159 per month invested. Whereas if you start at 30, you need to contribute 442 per month. If you start at 35, you need 764 invested per month. And if you start at 50, you need almost 5,000 per month just to get to that million by 60. And your money is doing the hard work, not the compound interest. That's why getting your finances right in your 20s is so important, because you can put less money in of your own money and you can let the compound interest do the hard work, not your hard-earned cash. The second reason why your 20s matter so much for your money management is because it's your habit forming years. This is when you start building a routine. This is when you start exercising. This is when you start forming your main habits for life. And it's very hard to break out of old habits as you get older. The third reason is because in your 20s, you have much lower stakes. You are less likely to have kids and commitments, and you can make mistakes. You can take more risk with your money. You can invest in a more risky way, and it's higher risk, but higher returns. So let's move on to how I built a 6-figure net worth with only a 9 to 5 job and not really earning much money because I was living in Spain. First of all, really boring, but stick with me because it gets better. Number 1 is having a budget. I like to call it a spending plan, and I use the 50-30-20 rule. That's 50% of your net pay for essential expenses like housing, transportation, 30% for fun costs like restaurants, cinema, travel, etc., and then 20% for saving and investing. I stuck to that religiously. And to be honest, in my first few years of working, I probably didn't do this framework. I didn't even know about it, but I was definitely putting around 10% aside each month for saving. But I should have invested it, and that's what I'm going to come on to now. But in the last 5 years, I've followed this framework and it has been life-changing because I can live comfortably, I can still have fun, but I can put money aside for my future, which has grown my net worth over time. If you don't have a budget and you have no idea how to make one, then I have a link on my Stan store in the description box below, and that will take you to my budget tracker. It's super simple to use and it uses the 50-30-20 rule. Number 2 is investing in my pension. So I've always taken advantage of investing in my pension. If you're in Europe or the UK, this applies to you. If you're in the US, you have things like 401k, Roth IRA. You have retirement accounts like 401k. It's the same thing, more or less. And in most companies, you will get an employer match. In the UK, it's actually a legal requirement that companies give you an employer match. So it's super important that you contribute to your pension anyway. But if your employer is giving you an employer match, it's free money. So you must definitely do it. So I've done an employer match since I was 21. So for 10 years now, I've been investing into my pension. Even when I earned little money, I made sure that I contributed to my pension, and that came out before I even received my paycheck. So it felt like I hadn't paid for anything. And then my employer had contributed in the meantime. So I had 2 pensions in the UK. I had a pension when I was in Spain, and now I have a pension living in Ireland. Now I'm contributing more than ever to my pension because I know the power of compounding. And my employer gives me a really good contribution as well. So that's my main source of net worth. And that is something that is very important. However, it's not the full picture because, of course, with a pension, you can only take it out once you retire. And we don't know what's going to happen, right? So we don't want to throw absolutely everything into the pension and then only be able to take it out when we're 65. Most likely by the time we retire, it's going to be 70 plus. So you still want to have money invested and saved that you can use before you're 65. And that's where the next bit comes on to. So that 20%, after I've committed to my pension, I try and still invest 10% of my net pay. So that's after my pension contributions have come out, to saving and investing. And at first, what I did is I saved for an emergency fund. So I had this as a backup. So I saved about £5,000 in my emergency fund, and I have that sat there in case I ever need it. And that's sat in a high yield savings account at around 4%. So it's in line with inflation and I'm not losing any value. But the rest of the money, now I have that emergency fund in place, is getting invested into index funds. And this is something that people ask me about a lot. They're scared of investing and they find it risky. But investing in index funds is one of the best ways to make sure that you're investing in a diversified way. So you're investing in different countries and you're investing in different markets and industries naturally. A lot of people like the all world index fund, So that includes a lot of different countries, a lot of different industries, and gives you full coverage. I like to do different index funds, and I also like to do individual stocks because they are high risk but high return. And as I'm young, I want that high return. So for the last 5 years, I've been investing in index funds, I've been investing in individual stocks, and my portfolio has grown and grown. And as a result of that, I have been able to buy an apartment in Spain that I now rent on Airbnb. And this is another asset that contributes towards my net worth. So I had to put 20% down in Spain plus 10% for costs. And if I hadn't invested my money, I would have never been able to afford that, because the compounding and the money that I made from investing meant that I had the down payment for that Airbnb. And now that is a revenue generating asset for me. The plus is I can also go and stay in Spain whenever I want, but also I can rent it out to other people. If you don't have a budget and you have no idea how to make one, then I have a link on my stan.store in the description box below, and that will take you to my budget tracker. It's super simple to use, and it uses the 50-30-20 rule. So I rent it on Airbnb, I rent it on booking.com, and from about April to October, it's completely full. And then the money that I make pays for the mortgage, it pays for all the costs for the whole year, not just when it's rented out. That means that I can go and stay in October, November without paying the mortgage, because the profits will pay the mortgage. On top of that, I have excess profits that stay in the bank account, and I am saving those up to potentially buy another property in the future. And this is what the rich do. They own assets. They don't have a lot of liabilities. So they own assets. And I look around and I see people with Chanel bags and Cartier watches and this kind of thing. And yeah, they can also be assets. But are they really growing? Are they increasing your net worth? If you're not investing and you're spending your whole paycheck on these things, that is not good, because you are not building wealth. So to summarize, what can you do to build your net worth as quickly as possible? Number one, get the budget that I mentioned in the description below and put in your numbers. Then understand how much you can save and invest each month. Check that you're contributing to your pension and that your employer is also contributing, if applicable. Step 3, check that you've got that emergency fund just for psychological safety and that it's there. And then number 4, the main step, and this is going to be my next video, so make sure you subscribe so you can see that one, is investing. My next video is going to be how to invest step by step if you haven't already. But yes, invest at least 10% of your income into index funds. And if you feel like it, individual stocks too, if you're younger. Please note, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. And if you want advice on your personal situation, please contact a financial advisor. And then lastly, invest in assets. So diversification is always a good idea. Investing in gold, index funds, stock, but it could also be useful if you have a passion for art, investing in art. If you would like to invest in real estate, there are still really good opportunities in countries like Spain, in developing areas, to buy apartments for a pretty good price that you can rent out. I obviously have the unfair advantage that I lived in Spain for 6 years, so I know the market and I can speak the language and I could get all of that sorted. But think about what your unfair advantage is when it comes to investing in other assets. So if you like this video, give it a like. Let me know in the comments below which step are you at. Make sure you subscribe for money and investing tips if you want to follow along for my journey of reaching financial freedom. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.